Despite reports as late as Tuesday that the Pittsburgh Steelers were aggressively pursuing trade possibilities, the team didn't make another move. The Steelers allowed the 2025 NFL trade deadline to pass without acquiring another player on the market. The league's trade deadline was 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday. The Steelers staying with what they have on the roster was surprising. In particular, there seemed to be a strong indication for weeks that the team would add a receiver. If the Steelers are going to add a wideout now, it will have to be on waivers or in the free agent market. Mike Tomlin's club didn't completely allow the trade deadline to pass without making an addition. Pittsburgh acquired $58 million safety Kyle Dugger from the New England Patriots on October 28. But even after adding Dugger, pundits continued to suggest the Steelers would be major players in the trade market Tuesday. Steelers don't acquire WR at NFL trade deadline. Pundits have linked Pittsburgh to receivers in the trade market for more than a year. The Steelers acquired DK Metcalf in March, but then traded George Pickens during May, which again began receiver trade speculation in Pittsburgh. That speculation continued just about through Tuesday's deadline. Bleacher Report's James Palmer reported during a live stream hours before the deadline that the Steelers were shopping the market. "I've been hearing Pittsburgh is definitely out there being aggressive," Palmer said. "They are looking at different players." Apparently, though, the Steelers weren't aggressive enough to execute a trade. Meanwhile, two veteran receivers moved to new teams before Tuesday's deadline. Pittsburgh's wide receiver depth after missing on Jacoby Myers, Rashid Shaheed. Throughout the past several weeks, two of the more popular rumored receiver trade targets for Pittsburgh were Jacoby Myers and Rashid Shaheed. The Steelers acquired neither, but not because they weren't available. The Las Vegas Raiders traded Myers to the Jacksonville Jaguars while the New Orleans Saints shipped Shaheed to the Seattle Seahawks. Jacksonville landed Myers for 2026 fourth and sixth round picks. The Seahawks agreed to send New Orleans 2026 fourth and fifth rounders for Shaheed. Steelers Nation is likely to be disappointed that the team didn't acquire a receiver upgrade for Day 3 selections. But both Myers and Shaheed are pending unrestricted free agents. Two Day 3 picks, including a fourth-rounder, may have been too high a price for general manager Omar Khan to pay for rental receivers. It's also not as though the Steelers didn't just make a wideout addition. On Tuesday, the team signed veteran receiver Marquez Valdes-Scantling to the practice squad. However, Tomlin seemed to minimize that addition Tuesday, which only fueled speculation that the Steelers plan to add another receiver through a trade. "He's just a practice squatter right now, so we'll get him in the fold," Tomlin told reporters. "Get him working, check his overall level of conditioning, how he learns, and some of those things. It is not the Dugger discussion. He's just a practice squad guy." The Steelers acquired Dugger from the Patriots out of necessity because of all the injuries the team currently has at safety. Dugger played 77 defensive snaps in his Steelers debut despite not having a full week of practice with the team. Put another way, Tomlin clearly doesn't see Valdes-Scantling contributing immediately. Opposite Metcalf, fourth-year receiver Calvin Austin, III, will likely continue to start the rest of the season for the Steelers. The team also has wideouts Roman Wilson, Ben Skowronek, Kushawn Williams, and Scotty Miller on its active roster. As of this writing, there is a little over 1 hour left to go before the NFL trade deadline passes and the Pittsburgh Steelers remain silent. While that has been going on, the Steelers have seen a pair of wide receivers get traded, with Jacoby Myers going to the Jacksonville Jaguars and Rashid Shaheed going to the Seattle Seahawks. Myers was acquired from the Las Vegas Raiders in exchange for fourth and sixth round picks, while Shaheed netted a fourth and a fifth, which weren't exactly outrageous prices for the Steelers to pay. So what gives? Well, Steelers beater reporter Mark Kaboly revealed that the price just hasn't been right. Kaboly then went on to add a little perspective and used the George Pickens trade to do it. Remember, Steelers traded GP for a third-rounder, and he had tremendous upside and an entire year on his contract, not a 2-month rental with less upside. Perspective, Kaboly added. Unfortunately for the Steelers, those are apparently the prices they have to pay if they want to acquire more than a Mike Williams-level talent who can adequately address their need for an impact number 2 wide receiver. With Myers and Shaheed off the board, the Steelers should be looking at Chris Olave of the Saints, Jalen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins, and Deebo Samuel of the Washington Commanders. The Pittsburgh Steelers are standing pat on the day of the NFL trade deadline. They did not make any moves for a wide receiver, cornerback, or another position, but it is not that surprising the team did not pull the trigger on a move. They were in on wide receiver Jakobi Meyers, but they were outbid by the Jacksonville Jaguars, who traded 4th and 6th round picks to acquire the veteran wide receiver. Rashid Shaheed, the standout Saints wide receiver, headed to the Seahawks for 4th and 5th round picks. Either way, the Steelers were not going to go above that to make a move, and they viewed the signing of Marquez Valdes-Scantling as a conduit for their minor move, similarly to Mike Williams. Pittsburgh traded for safety Kyle Duggar last week, but that was their only trade move before the deadline hits. Now, they would have to sign a free agent in order to find meaningful help. They already did that with Valdes-Scantling and could do it at cornerback after veteran Asante Samuel Jr. was cleared following off-season neck surgery. Either way, General Manager Omar Khan and head coach Mike Tomlin have been big on making sure they get the right value out of any deal they make, and they clearly felt the price tag on many of the trades was far too high for their liking. The Steelers improved to 5-3 with a win over the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday, a game that helped rid the bad taste out of their and our collective mouths. The win helped them maintain a 2-game lead in the AFC North over the Baltimore Ravens. But the big story today is the NFL trade deadline, which has a 4 p.m. Eastern Time cutoff. The Steelers have already been involved on multiple fronts, including a deal with the Patriots for safety Kyle Duggar just last week. Duggar played 76 of a possible 77 snaps for the Steelers on Sunday. During his weekly Tuesday afternoon press conference via the team's YouTube channel, Tomlin addressed his team's plans. "We'll see what happens," Tomlin said with a grin. "I like shopping." Tomlin notes that teams in the hunt usually add pieces this time of year. "I just know that if you're trending in the right direction and you have a desire to be in this thing as the road gets narrow, usually you're open to adding talent that can assist you," said Tomlin. The Steelers were reported to have interest in trading for Jakobi Meyers, but the former Raider was dealt to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Other names such as Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and Jalen Waddle have all been floated as being available via trade.